understanding what importing is all about. Importing is again in the economic context, in the foreign business or international business context. It's about purchasing. It's like, as I told in the previous video, if at all your country is not able to provide a particular good or a service, or you're not able to manufacture them in ample quantities, or you think that simply going for purchasing from the other countries is a better option, keeping cost reduction and everything into context, by any chance that just gives you an edge or gives you some sort of boost up to go and purchase the products, goods or services, technologies or machineries, anything for that matter, from the other country, when the money from your end or the foreign exchange, to be very specific, goes away from you and reaches them, and in turn you will receive the products or services or machinery, anything from there, the entire process of buying it from the other country, it's called as importing. Okay, so again, importing will forget the boundaries and territories. Importing, it's not only just the person who imports, he uses it or he sells it, or he uses it for the sake of reselling also. He buys them for the purpose of replenishing the stock. Probably he's buying them for the process of further processing them, just to add up some more utility. So it can be anything. It's not just the importer is the person who sells it. He can resell it to somebody, or he can do a lot of things or changes onto it before he dispatches or he distributes them to his particular customers in his country. So importing is basically forgetting about the territory, purchasing with an intention of cost reduction or optimum utilization of the resources available in the other country, or because the options in the other countries are quite variant and more than compared to our country. So this is basically importing. Let's just understand what are the advantages or limitations of importing. So when a country goes for importing, it's understood that they are wanting to buy it from somebody else. They're wanting to have a contract or have a transaction of purchase from the other country. The basic advantages of importing could be your accessibility. Like, you're accessible to the best of the products, you're accessible to the best of the options, you're accessible to best of the variants or varieties that you have in the other country. So when you go for importing, when you don't choose to do it in your country, let it be of the any reasons that you can give, but you have a lot of choices to pick from. So that is one major advantage of importing. And cheap resources available in the other country. If you manufacture it, if you procure the things, if you want to manufacture in your own country, probably it might cost you a lot. But when you want to purchase it from a country where it is abundantly available there, and obviously the cost per unit or the labor or the labor hours there can be predominantly lesser than what your country is actually into. So there the cost reduction thing will also work, and cheap resources can be made available to you. And by going for importing, you choosing to get the best of the products and the best quality of the products and a lot of varieties of them, you are in turn helping the people in your country to go for or opt for increased or better or improved standard of living. So that is also one of the major advantages of imports. And when you have advantages of importing, you got to have disadvantages of importing as well. So probably unemployment, like you're not focusing on your resources, focusing on your people, focusing on utilizing the resources available in your place, but you're trying to see something that is not you have it, but you're not choosing to see it from here, but you want to see it from the other country, or you're seeing the potential in the other country, forgetting to acknowledge what you have as a country. So then what will happen in turn, a lot of people might lose out on their jobs, a lot of people might be left unused, a lot of caliber might just go in vains. So in that way, unemployment is something that'll happen without any exclamation, without any shock. So that is one disadvantages of imports. And domestic goods and domestic manufacturers, domestic industries will have a hit. they will be replaced, they will be substituted, because you don't want to choose for your people, you don't want to choose your products, you don't want to choose your industries, because you feel that they might lack superiority, they might lack quality, they might lack varieties. So when I want to buy it from somebody else, obviously I'm demotivating my people, I'm demotivating my country and the industry that they are functioning within my country. So they will have a lot of replacement, and in turn it will hit them. And again, discouraging local manufacturers, and foreign exchange loss is also something that is very very important to understand, because when you go for import, you have to purchase it. When you purchase, money has to go out of your pockets and reach somebody else. So when we talk about in the global arena or in the global scenario context, obviously when you purchase, foreign exchange must be flowing from your into there, so you're getting the money, that's there is no doubt, but at the same time there is a money that is moving, there is a foreign exchange that is moving, that can be a disadvantage as well. So this is about the basic details about importing. Let's go to the next slide, where the procedure for importing is included. So the first procedure for importing is preliminaries. uh, Preliminaries here, it's about registering yourself, it's about obtaining a membership, it's about getting your authentified image. So what happens in this preliminary stage of importing, you gotta obtain the license. Firstly, license that you are an authorized importer, that the government has given you permission to import, and you have to obtain something called as importer exporter code number, or IEC number, without which you are not executable, without which you are not functionable. So you got to have a license, you got to have importer and exporter code number, and you have to register yourself under controllers of export and imports. So there is this particular body which will facilitate you to have your membership to be there, or registered version of yourself, which gives you a lot of authenticity, authentic image, that you're good to go, that you're free to buy. So that's the first stage. And the second stage about indent. So indent here, indent can be an order. Basically, indent is nothing but an order that includes the products that you are willing to purchase, and the quantity of the products that you want to purchase, and the price of it, the total price and price per unit. All those basic descriptions about your products will be included in the indent, and that must be taken care in the second step. And when we talk about indent, there are two types of indents in the importing business, that is open indent and close indent. An open indent is something that will not reveal details about the products that you're going to purchase. So basically there is no revelation of the products that you want to purchase, let it be the quantity, let it be the type or the color or the brand, or nothing is mentioned in the open indent, whereas in closed indent it's very open. So closed indent is open, so it's like a contra, where the details about the brand and the manufacturer that you want to go for, that you want to purchase, and the type of the products and the quantity and everything is mentioned in the closed indent. And the third one is here is obtaining foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is a way or the money through which you can deal with your foreign transactions. So your domestic currency will not hold any significance, it's of no use at all. So in turn, what you require is the foreign exchange, and only a central government's bank or a bank for the country can only function or can only release foreign exchange. So you have to obtain the approval from RBI in case it's India or any such countries. Central banks, they have to accept it, and they are the ones who are liable, they are the ones who are capable of releasing foreign exchange. So that must be obtained by the purchaser, that is an importer. And the fourth one is arrangement for payment, where the importer has to make arrangements for the payment of imports through paying foreign exchange. And the last one is payment of custom duties and taking the delivery goods, where you pay the foreign exchange, and once you are obliged to pay and you've paid it, and there is no longer you gotta wait. You have to take the shipment of the goods. They will come into your captive, they will come into your hands, and that will become the fifth stage of in the import procedure. So let's go to the next slide, where the documents for importing mentioned. There are 4 important documents for importing, that is letter of credit, bill of exchange, bill of lading, and documentary bill. Letter of credit, it's a predominant, very important document, where there are 4 people into the play. There are 4 people in the scene, that is importer, importer's bank, exporter, exporter's bank. Importer is a purchaser and exporter is a seller. Importer wants to buy a certain number of goods from an exporter, and exporter will make the goods dispatched from his end to the exporter's end. That's okay, they have a direct connection. But with respect to payment of money, as I told, payment of foreign exchange, it's not the exporter or importer who involved directly, but they have their bankers on their behalf working. So importer's bank is liable to make the payment on behalf of the importer if he fails to make the payment, and exporter's bank will receive the payment on behalf of the exporter. So letter of credit is a letter for assurance. It's a letter for guaranteeing that the importer will make the payment, and I guarantee, being a importer's bank, that if he is at default, if he doesn't pay, I will do it. So that's how he gives the guarantee and assurance. So that's how letter of credit functions in both imports and exports. And bill of exchange, it's a promissory note where there are 2 people in the picture, that is payer and payee. Payer is the one who is supposed to be and liable to pay, and payee is the one who must be paid. Suppose I'm a payee, I'm a seller, and I draw a particular promissory note called as bill of exchange, that I have sold these quantity of items to this particular person, that is payer. He must be paying the money to me on one particular day in the future. I sign, and I get the same. I get the sign from the payer as well, and I keep it, and that's my assurance, and that's my support. That's my guarantee or warranty. So where the payer has to acknowledge this bill of exchange and must make the payment, because he is obliged to make the payment. He has promised that he would make the payment on one particular day in the future. So this will also work when there's money things that comes, and nobody wants to risk it, because when in the international business, it's a foreign exchange, and it's the quantity of the money. When you gauge it in local currency, it's huge. So in order to be very on the safer side, you go for this bill of exchange also. And the third one is bill of lading. So bill of lading, it's about carrier and shipper. Shipper is an exporter and carrier is a person who carries the goods. So I am an exporter. I include all the details about the products that I'm shipping right now, quantity, type, brand, date, and everything. That is very quintessentials about to know about my products, and I'll be acknowledging it with the shipper. The shipper has to check the products with their authenticity to check they were genuine or not, and the same products will be sent to or will be delivered to importer, and the importer will acknowledge it and make the payment to the exporter after the arrival of the goods. So that is bill of lading. And documentary bill, the last one. So documentary bill is a commercial draft presented for payments, such as bill of lading, certificate of insurance, or certificate of deposits, where they are again assurances. They are again gives you guarantees, a guarantee about payment. If at all somebody is bankrupt, they're not able to pay, it's like taking care of it. It's like giving you an assurance that it will be taken care, it will be in a safe hands. So when you're dealing in the foreign exchange, or when you're dealing with the importing business or transactions especially, these are the 4 documents that will come into the play and are very, very important to be known. Thank you so much for watching.